Hello, this is Anna Laura Brown of annalaurabrown.com. Today I would like to have a chat with you about how to pay for autoimmune health expenses that aren't covered by insurance. Because I know this can be a big deal and a big problem for a lot of people. Because let's face it, when you get diagnosed with an autoimmune condition, typically the only things that insurance want to pay for is, like an annual physical, regular traditional medical doctors, and medication. They don't want to pay for supplements. They don't want to pay for essential oils. They don't want to pay for, you to go to a lot of functional medicine doctors that typically, a lot of times don't take insurance just because of the way insurance is set up. They don't want to pay for your probiotics. They don't want to pay for, stem cells if you end up needing those, which personally I'm in the situation of ending up going to be needing those within the next 3 years. Some people, it depends, but that can be kind of somewhat of a common thing with autoimmune disorders. It is that eventually you may need those. I've discovered, that kind of thing. And of course, I'll pay for surgery if you need that, which I ended up needing that too, unfortunately. But then there's things, that really can be beneficial as well. Things like going infrared sauna, doing hyperbaric oxygen, buying special kinds of food, massage, acupuncture, chiropractic, things like that, and coverage on insurance on that is either non-existent or really limited. And so, those things can add up and they can get pretty expensive. So how do you pay for those things if you don't just automatically have the extra money in your budget and, you're not rich, which is, like most of us. So here are actually 11 different ways that I found or came up with on how to pay for these things. So some of these are going to be a little more obvious. Some of them, you may not have considered before. So the first one is to open up an HSA, otherwise known as a health savings account, if you don't have one already. If your work offers one, that's the ideal situation. But if they don't offer one, you can usually open up one without it being offered by your work. And you can go through a health insurance agent to help you locate one. And what this does is it lets you contribute up to $3,500 per year tax-free. That then once you reach, I think it's about $10,000, you can actually invest it and start earning interest. Or you can just leave the money in there and take advantage of the tax benefits to being able to pay for qualified health and medical care expenses. So what are some things that typically an HSA will let you pay for that won't be covered by insurance, but you could use HSA funds for? So for example, if you do end up needing stem cells, that's one thing that you could use an HSA for, even though insurance doesn't cover it. You could also pay for deductibles for things like surgery and doctor care visits. Typically most functional medicine doctors, if you decide to go to one, will accept HSA funds. Even though you can't use actual insurance, you can pay for it out of an HSA. You can also pay for chiropractic and acupuncture appointments out of it. And generally speaking, that's pretty much going to be it. So some things like probiotics, essential oils, supplements, massage, things like that, you're not going to be able to use an HSA for those. So those are just going to have to come out of your pocket. But having that HSA and maxing it out can actually be really beneficial tax-wise benefits, and then you have that available for you. Oh, and also another thing too is like, so for example, I have a membership or, go regularly to infrared sauna at a place called Restore, and they also do like the cold therapy, cryotherapy, and like stretching and high hyperbaric oxygen, things like that, and they actually take HSA as well. So, it's really going to be mostly, from my experience, it's mostly massage and supplements type things that you can't use HSA for. Pretty much everything else that I do that isn't covered by insurance, I'm able to pay for with an HSA. So that's the big one. Number two is to prioritize everything and be willing to wait for things for more expensive that can wait. So some things that I would say in most cases you would want to prioritize would be like going to a functional medicine doctor would be at the top of the list, along with, any essential oils and supplements. And then, down from there, probably chiropractic, acupuncture, stem cells in most cases are probably going to be something you'll have to save up for a couple of years for. Depending on how much it costs. I know the treatment I'm looking into is about $6,000, and since the max in an HSA is $3,500, it's going to take me putting everything in there for a year and a half to pay for it. So, that's not something I can afford or pay for immediately. Whereas some of these other things, you can potentially come up the funds within a month or two. Okay, number 3 is to ask for cash discount. So this is pretty common among a lot of the services and things that are not, billable by insurance, especially with something like functional medicine doctors. If you pay cash, and by that I mean a lot of times not even a credit card, I mean like, an actual cash or debit card, because usually there's higher fees associated with a credit card, then, a lot of times you can get a discount there. Now, obviously, with some things like, again, the massage and supplements, infrared, that kind of thing, there typically is, fixed price, and it doesn't matter what method you're using, it's going to cost the same. Okay, then number 4, explore your options with Care Credit. Now, in my opinion, this should be a last option because this is putting you into debt, and the interest rates can make it pretty expensive. But if this is something you really, really need and you just can't afford it, then Care Credit can be an option for helping you get those treatments and services. Okay, number 5 is to consider doing a fundraising, car wash, yard sale, or find somebody with something like Tupperware or Pampered Chef or Candle Company or something. A lot of those direct selling home party companies offer fundraisers to help the rep make, a little money, but also they can be a good way to make money for you because people get an actual product rather than, oh, let me just give you some money, and a lot of times they're products that people would want to buy anyway. Tupperware is probably one of my favorites as far as the fundraising goes, but like I said, there's other companies out there that do it, and if you need help getting in touch with a rep, I can probably find one. I know a lot of those people and have a lot of them on Facebook. And yeah, then I said, so something like a car wash, get like high school kids, neighbor kids, church kids, whatever together to wash people's cars and then volunteer to have them pay and help you contribute that money to your fund. And especially if you really need large sums of money, this can be a good one, or like a community yard sale, garage sale, where you are able to get people to donate things that you can then sell and collect on. Okay, so then number 6 is see if you can get anyone to contribute items that you can sell on eBay or Facebook Marketplace to make money. Now, where this can also work pretty well is some people will have things like furniture or, just other items, things that sometimes can be pretty valuable if sold, but they're just too busy or don't want to spend their time listing those things, and you can volunteer to list it for them and take, say, a 20, 30, maybe even 40% of the profits and then give them the rest. And that can actually be a pretty lucrative way to make money, even as a side hustle, not necessarily even for medical expenses, but that can be pretty good. I've done that a little bit. Okay, the number 7 is to start a part-time side hustle. I mean, kind of an obvious one, but whether you even do something like number 6 on a part-time, or you look up all the different side hustles that are out there, but find something that works for you. Number 8 is consider working as event staff for a few events. Now, I've done this as well. Now, recently in last year, it was COVID before that, so, it's been a little while since I've done it due to my knee issues, things like that. I'm starting to feel like maybe I could start doing that again because my knees are starting to get strong enough. But, there's a lot of concerts that come to town that need extra staff. Especially if you're in a bigger city, there's things like sporting events that need extra staff, things like that. And a lot of times you can do those on evening weekends, and the pay can be pretty good. You can make $150, $200 just in one night. So, and, depending on how much money you need, you might only have to do, maybe 2 or 3 of them, you might have your money saved up. There we go. Okay, and then number 9, get a temporary job if it's feasible for you. And I say if it's feasible because depending on how sick you are with your autoimmune condition, that may not be possible. I know personally I've chosen to not try to wear myself out too much by getting a second temporary job. I feel like I can't do that. But if you can, that's always an option that's there. Number 10 is to find paid surveys or focus groups you can participate in. And there's a lot of these out there online, but the best method I found is to go through Craigslist or to get on a local list where they're always looking for people. And for tax purposes and legal purposes, other reasons, you typically can only do a few of these a year, like 2 or 3 a year. But typically, there's ones like being part of a fake jury for a case that attorneys are working on, things like music radio surveys, political surveys. Even once I participated in one that was for people that did not have diabetes, but talking about diabetes, trying to get a survey, for the public health department. And typically those will pay between $100 to $200 a piece. So, that's a way to get potentially up to $500 or $600 a year in extra money that you could throw at your health expenses. Okay, and then number 11, this is pretty obvious, but still anything you don't need or want. Go through your house, de-junk, declutter, just get rid of it, sell it, and collect that extra money. So anyhow, hope you found these ideas helpful. I would love to hear your comments, feedback. Invite you to like, share, comment, subscribe on this video to the channel for this video. Take care, and I look forward to helping you and on your autoimmune health journey.